I'm going to tell you a little bit about what our department does and how we interface with different construction projects. And I think it's really important for you to know kind of all that we do to start off. So I have a really short deck that I'll go through to tell you what we do, how we do it, and kind of why we do it. And then I'm going to stick around for questions. So. Again, I'm Ciere Boatright. I'm the new commissioner for the city's Department of Planning and Development. I want to acknowledge my fellow commissioner in attendance today, as well as our alderwomen and other elected officials that may be floating around the space today. I'm honored to speak at today's event. And it's actually my privilege to start talking about what we do. So a brief overview of the city's planning and development functions and a quick recap of the amazing project that my incredible team leads to create a stronger neighborhood citywide. To be clear, DPD does not perform construction contracting itself, but we coordinate, support, and approve hundreds of projects that create tens of thousands of construction jobs every year through public and private partnerships. So the more you know about DPD, the more informed you'll be about how we can work together. As the city's lead planning agency, DPD is responsible for the city's built environment, including the size and scale of new buildings, their design and their location, and the uses within them. Sorry. So that's a tall order, right? And it's partly because we administer the city's zoning code, which regulates how every single property can be used citywide. Anytime there's a building permit for new construction or rehab at a given address, our department reviews it. We make sure that the work is in for the proper use and is allowed by the zoning code and any other regulations that may apply, such as landscape ordinance, any design guidelines that may be in place for a particular street, parking requirements, and many other factors. The building department actually issues the permits, but DPD is responsible for reviewing whether the work is for a use that's allowed by the zoning code. If the work is not allowed by the use, such as commercial projects proposed on a residential street, we'll work with the applicant to determine whether the zoning map should be amended to allow for a project to proceed. That's because the city zoning map is a living document, right? Individual parcels are frequently rezoned to allow for more or less density and different uses depending on the location. DPD works closely with applicants and city council to make sure zoning changes are appropriate for a given site, or if a small variation is needed to accommodate a specific project. The city is pro-development, so we try hard to make sure projects work and serve their neighborhoods and the construction industry. For huge projects like high-rises shown on the screen, shopping centers, and industrial buildings, DPD can create special zoning classifications called a planned development, which provides a comprehensive approach to proposed structures, design, its site plan, parking, materials, landscaping, and many other factors. The Bally's Casino is a good example and a recent example of a PD or planned development. PDs also require a commitment by the developer to meet the city's minority and women-owned business hiring standards of 26.6, as well as 50% local hiring. The hiring commitment was established by a 2017 executive order, and since then, more than 330 planned developments valued at $50 billion have been approved, creating over 163,000 jobs. So, there's a very close relationship between the city's zoning code and the construction work that's being performed citywide. DPD's planning functions include many other responsibilities that go beyond zoning, such as community plans and corridor plans. These are not zoning docs, but they often include land use goals for multiple properties within a study area, such as whether a site should be high density or low density, residential or commercial, etc. The biggest community plan we're working on right now is the Central Area Plan, which establishes the visions for 20 years of growth downtown and what that growth should look like. Its purpose is to bring equity and resilience downtown, where it will serve as a roadmap for new public and private sector development.
It will also provide strategies to address big issues we're facing involving the health of downtown, including online shopping, remote schooling, remote work, and other home trends, and many other issues that would have sounded like science fiction when the last central area was adopted in 2003. Similar to community plans, DPD also performs corridor plans and studies to improve portions of our major corridors, like Western Avenue on the far north side, Clark Street in Uptown, 95th Street in Washington Heights and Roseland, and 47th Street in Brighton Park. We work with residents on a block-by-block basis to identify opportunities for public and private investment and what the investment should look like in terms of construction. We formalize the goals in a plan, then we use the plan to evaluate and refine proposed projects, ensuring that the community needs are met and that we're authentically engaging residents. In addition to zoning, community, and corridor planning, DPD also is responsible for the city's historic preservation functions, the beautiful buildings that we see that are preserved from hundreds of years ago, urban farming guidelines, trail planning, and waterfront improvement efforts, among many other responsibilities that involve third-party construction. I would love for you all to visit our tables to learn more detail about some of the efforts that are currently underway. Now I want to pivot just slightly to DPD's role in the city's main economic development agency, as the city's main economic development agency. Most economic development in Chicago involves small private sector businesses that are either selling or buying goods and services. Places like restaurants, apparel stores, medical offices, coffee shops, grocery stores, dry cleaners, hardware stores, and many other amenities and neighborhood places that you visit on a regular. You don't have to travel far to recognize that these types of businesses are unevenly located citywide, with some neighborhoods having multiple options and some neighborhoods having zero. We know from recent city plan that multiple systemic forces over many decades produce these inequities that many neighborhoods are dealing with today, which is why DPD has played an active role to reverse neighborhood disinvestment and depopulation, especially on the south and west sides of Chicago. And the primary way we do this is through strategic financial investment. DPD has multiple grant programs, which we provide small businesses with grants ranging from approximately $50,000 to $5 million or more, depending on the size, scale, and impact of the project. There's a variety of funding sources that we use for grants, such as tax increment financing, bond proceeds, fees from downtown construction projects that fuel neighborhood development and investment, and federal dollars from the pandemic. But they all have one thing in common, and that's their eligible costs or how they can be used. Virtually all the city's funding is intended to subsidize construction work, whether it involves the build-out of new retail space, the construction of affordable apartment buildings, improvements to an adjacent lot, roof and wall repairs, plumbing and electrical upgrades, or other work involving new construction or rehab. By limiting costs to construction-related improvements, we can maintain our investment even if the business actually moves out of that space. So it's a very safe approach to the allocation of public dollars. Additional funds are available for site acquisition, local hiring, and other costs, but they are ancillary to the main point, which is DPD provides millions of dollars in funding for construction projects throughout the city, throughout the year, every year. You will be well served to monitor our announcements for potential contracting and subcontracting work, like the recently reopened Ramova Theater in Bridgeport, which we supported with a $9 million grant, and the pending renovation of the Congress Theater in Logan Square, which we supported with a $27 million grant, and the dozens of other small restaurants, cafes, art galleries that receive grants on a semi-annual basis. We know that small business owners are not experts in construction, and some of the most difficult issues involve the procurement of capable subcontractors. So please consider bidding on their projects, which will help you, our grantees, and the city itself. I know this crash course about DPD doesn't answer all the questions and doesn't appeal to everyone in the room, but I hope I've given you a succinct overview of the important work that we do throughout all of our neighborhoods to positively impact our city, and also what we could do to support our mutual goals. So please, again, visit our table for questions. We're here, and thank you for continuing to support the important work that we do for our entire city.
All right, good morning, everyone. A special good morning, of course, to Alderwoman Ruth Cruz, and I will also say that there is Department of Housing staff here. I have Lisa and Chris, both of whom are going to be ready to answer questions afterwards. It is with great pleasure to be here today at the Construction Summit, hosted by our colleagues at the Department of Procurement Services. Today, we come together to promote construction opportunities in our respective departments, and DOH is really excited to be here to talk about what we have to offer. Generally, the Department of Housing has made remarkable strides toward building a better, stronger, and safer neighborhoods across the city. Our efforts are aligned with the vision of Mayor Brandon Johnson, who envisions Chicago that stands the testament of time, resilience, community, and prosperity. His commitment to the well-being of our neighborhoods has been an unwavering force, and we are grateful for his leadership. The pillar of DOH's mission is the unwavering dedication to increasing home ownership. We understand that thriving communities are built on the foundation of safe and secure homes. This year, we have intensified our commitment to preserving existing home ownership, keeping families in their homes, and breathing life back into vacant and abandoned homes that have long stained our blocks. Our multifaceted approach includes administering essential home repairs for low-income homeowners, constructing new affordable homes on vacant land, providing purchase price assistance grants, supporting co-ops, and decarbonizing existing homes. Through these initiatives, we've seen nearly 400 vacant buildings and parcels across the city in 2023 alone, with another 90 approved in 2024. DOH has also completed about 350 home repairs for the past 12 months and plans to serve over 500 homeowners in 2024. One of our proudest achievements this year has been the expansion of our network of BIPOC local contractors. These partnerships not only enhance the quality of our projects, but also contribute to the economic empowerment of our communities. As we uphold Chicago's BIPOC contractors, they in turn empower local professionals through increased crew hires. It's a ripple effect of community wealth that extends beyond the projects themselves. Some of the specific programs that we offer construction opportunities in are non-congregate shelter acquisition program. In partnership with the Department of Family and Support Services, or DFSS, DOH has released an RFP to fund the acquisition and possible rehab of buildings or other properties within the city of Chicago to be used in non-congregate shelters for people experiencing homelessness. There will be construction opportunities to rehab the acquired properties through the contractors that are selected to do the work in these shelters. We also have multifamily affordable housing. The Department of Housing invites housing developers to apply for public funds and other subsidies to build and rehabilitate affordable rental properties in the city of Chicago. Once funded, developers are encouraged to actively seek MBE, minority business enterprises, general contractors for their multi-million-dollar projects. Additionally, construction opportunities are available for mid to large companies through the developer's general contractor as subcontractors. Also, in our the space, we are also looking at the preservation of single-room occupancy buildings. These are also opportunities to rehab old buildings that need that love and care in order to be used for folks who have been formerly experiencing homelessness. These are also opportunities that are available through the contractors that are hired to do that work. We are also looking at affordable home ownership. Developers can access opportunities to build single-family homes by applying through the Shy Block Builder program during the open rounds. The next round will be opening in April. There must be evidence of a developer's financial capacity and ability to obtain project funding. They must also show proven depth and quality of experience in successfully developing residential buildings in the community where the selected development is located, or in the community with similar market characteristics. Construction opportunities are available within the development teams once those are selected. We also have the Chicago Neighborhood Rebuild pilot program, which aims to rehabilitate vacant homes and place at-risk youth in jobs. In turn, generational wealth is increased and low-income families can buy rehab homes for lower prices. The initiative uses trained BIPOC developers to work on city construction projects to develop and rehab the bad houses, quote, on the block to enhance the look of the community. We also have the home repair program. It is formally known as the Roof and Porch Repair Program. This is perhaps what DOH is most known for. Everybody knows the Roof and Porch Repair Program. This program provides grants to income-eligible homeowners for improvements to their roof and porch. By providing the necessary support, the city helps Chicagoans maintain safe and comfortable living conditions and avoid displacement. Additionally, the repairs are completed by contractors hired by DOH and its delegate agencies. We switched out our sourcing strategy a few years ago to specifically increase for the small historically underutilized businesses to align with the department's racial equity goals and to provide an additional vehicle for stimulating generational wealth. Last year, we awarded home repair program work to 2 additional delegate agencies and 5 contractors that are BIPOC. The Department of Housing has also selected grantees to equitably decarbonize or retrofit 1 to 4 unit residential buildings in Chicago by providing low and moderate income homeowners with home upgrades, including new insulation and heat pump heating and cooling systems. Retrofits might also include induction stoves, heat pump water heaters, heat pump clothes dryers, air sealing around doors and windows, and smart thermostats, and other interventions. The grantees, each person that is selected to do this work, is committed to using BIPOC firms in this rapidly growing industry. Our vision is clear: to grow and nurture this approach, to strengthen the bonds within our neighborhoods, and to create environments where everyone can thrive. We understand that the true measure of success lies not only in the structures we build, but in the lives we impact and the communities we empower. As we gather here today to recognize and applaud the outstanding achievements of our partners, contractors, and individuals who have contributed to our mission, let us also renew our commitment to the journey ahead. Together, hand in hand, we will continue to build, strengthen, and safeguard the foundations of our beloved city, ensuring that every neighborhood in Chicago is a place that its residents are proud to call home. To that end, we're looking ahead to 2024. Yesterday, Mayor Johnson introduced a bond plan, an economic development bond plan for $1.25 billion over 5 years, which will be split evenly between the Department of Planning and Development and the Department of Housing. With that money available to the Department of Housing, we're looking to further fund our SRO preservation, to do more work on non-congregate shelters, to do more affordable housing rental projects this year, to stand up the Mayor's Green Social Housing, to launch Shy Mortgage will be down payment assistance, and to expand the Rebuild program where we are going into communities and have opportunities for jobs for youth. We do all of this with a framework and a foundation on the Cut the Tape initiative, which is looking to shorten development timelines and to provide capacity building and training to scale contractors. There is more information available as you all can ask questions, and also the Department of Housing has a table. You'll be able to scan a QR code there for more information. Thank you.
One more round of applause for Commissioner Boatright and Commissioner Castaneda. We do have some time. If you guys have some questions for either commissioner, just raise your hand. We'll come around. We'll try to get to all of them. If not, I believe both departments, again, will be in the, have a presence in the exhibitor hall if you have any questions later today. Raise your hand if you have a question.
Hi, my name is Laura, and thank you both for what you shared. I'm just curious, the 1.2 billion, that's a lot of digits. Do you know where that money will come from?
So it's a bond program, an economic development bond program. The mayor's talked about it yesterday, and there'll be more information on that to come, but it is something that's going to go through a council process, and we're just excited at the end of that to have the money available to do the work of economic development in our communities.
Just to add a little bit more color, right now a lot of the funding that we're talking about comes from tax increment financing. A lot of the tax increment financing districts expire, and so we need a more sustainable source so that we can continue to, apologies. So currently a lot of the investment that you've seen on both projects have come from some tax increment financing. Unfortunately, some of the tax increment districts are expiring, so we're looking for a more sustainable source so that we can continue to infuse investment in our neighborhoods that deserve and need it most.
Hi, my name is Sheila, and thank you to both commissioners for being here and sharing your vision and mission. It's really informative. Had a question regarding actually the mayor's green social housing. Can you just tell me at high level how technology would support that initiative, and basically high level what it encompasses? Thank you.
Right now, we are still in the very early stages of this. This is a commitment that the mayor has made and that DOH is also committed to seeing through. At its core, it's really about having a revolving fund outside of the normal tax credits to build more affordable housing. We do very much expect that technology and looking at the ways in which we want these things to be sustainable in every definition of that word will play into that. And so we are very excited to have more to talk about later in the year.
Good morning. Cut the Tape Initiative. It's been reported in some press that the mayor has made this a real high priority. Can each of you, relative to your respective departments, highlight sort of 3 things that have sort of surfaced or bubbled up quickly under the header of Cut the Tape, and offer an opportunity to push things forward?
I'll start. So for the Department of Planning and Development, I'll give a little background. I'm a former developer, and so I recognize the importance of moving faster, and I recognize that time kills deals. Sitting in this new seat as a commissioner, I recognize the importance of us as a department to mitigate risk, but also ensure that we are moving these developments forward, that we're getting shovels in the ground faster, and that we're cutting more ribbons throughout all of our neighborhoods. And so if there's things that we can do to improve the process so that it's more efficient, we certainly are doing it. So I'll give an example. Last week at Plan Commission, you may have seen it in the paper, we had a project that was introduced, that was applied and met Plan Commission and approved in less than 45 days. And so that's a concrete example of measures that we're taking to make sure that we're moving faster. Because if you can get a shovel in the ground faster, that means that residents in your community have access to amenities that they currently don't have access to. Other things is that we want to streamline just processes as we're thinking about grant allocation and grant programs to make sure that we're communicating with our aldermen, that we're communicating with our chambers of commerce, so that small businesses that maybe didn't have access to some of these resources have access, and we're helping them through the process of successfully obtaining some of these grant funds that are available. And so those are 2 examples. We're working on many other things. We're really looking at all of our departments. Within Department of Planning and Development, we have small business, we have zoning, we have our vacant land. We've got a lot of vacant land in the city of Chicago. It's really important, and the mayor is committed to getting the vacant land back in productive use. And we want to be respectful and responsive of some of the community's priorities and work with local developers and local partners who have a vision that responds to the community's priorities to get that vacant land back on a tax roll and get meaningful development. Repopulating our neighborhoods, affordable home ownership, traditional affordable housing is important to us. And I think more collaboration between departments and within departments in our bureaus are three, I would say, examples of what we're doing. And I think you're going to see a lot more process improvements within our departments, and not just our departments, but with all the departments to move faster and be more collaborative and far more impactful.
What are your thoughts about city council? City council participation in that process that you just talked about?
Oh, absolutely. I'm a partner. I recognize the power of collaboration. We cannot do anything in isolation. Without our partners, it's not sustainable, it's not successful. I would also argue that in addition to partnering with city councils, it's imperative that we're partnering between departments. And so that DOH and DPD are talking to each other about these large developments, and that we're being proactive and bringing in CDOT in the conversation, water and buildings in a timely way, so you won't, as a developer, you won't be impacted by a lack of communication between departments and with aldermen. And so collaboration is key for me. You'll hear me say it at every turn. Our aldermen are partners for us.
I recently said to my staff, I'm going to get collaboration tattooed across my forehead, because I think that's the thing. That is the really big key thing for us. And I don't know that there's much more that I could add to Ciere. Like her, I also come from development. Like her, I've been on the outside, and I'm like, okay, what's happening? And coming on the inside, being able to understand, and honestly to have found such dedication and such drive coming out of the mayor's office to do this work has been incredibly exciting for me. I think the big thing is, like she said, collaboration across departments. DPD and DOH are two sides of the same coin, and I'm really excited to have Commissioner Boatright as our partner in this. And so again, getting shovels in the ground and getting these things moving is the #1 priority.
I have a question back there.
Yeah, hi. Thank you very much. How much influence does the local alderman have over zoning?
I mean, I talked earlier about how our zoning ordinance, our zoning code is a living document, right? And so we want to work with our aldermen, but at the end of the day, we think about our city at large, right? We think about appropriate uses for our corridors. And so you don't want to see an industrial building in a residential neighborhood, neither does your alderman. And certainly as a commissioner of planning department, we won't allow it, right? And so I would argue that when we think about projects, we think about projects holistically. We want to understand what our aldermen's priorities are, but at the end of the day, we need to make sure that we're creating jobs, we're putting vacant land back in productive use, we're thinking about the size, scale, and use of our buildings and making sure that it's safe. And we're thinking about it holistically. And so we lean in with our aldermen in a collaborative nature with everything that we do, but I think it is important to know that zoning is a really powerful code. It really kind of sets the tone for how development looks, and we look at that holistically.
Hi, we're new in the industry here in construction. So our question here is, how would we get started as a small business construction company to getting any of these jobs? It's very exciting, especially living in the city and having to see those houses being renovated and affordable housing. We want to be part of that solution. So how can we get started?
Yeah, absolutely. I can say we have a table out there, and I have 2 great staff who are there and are ready to have a conversation about the work that you want to do and about what you want to be a part of. And again, we have specific initiatives to help small contractors do this kind of work. And please come to the table. Lisa and Chris will have detailed information on being able to help you get started and make those connections.
And I'll say for DPD's perspective, while we don't manage construction projects directly, our developers do. And so we often approve the projects that our developers will then go out to procure and get actual contractors involved. Oftentimes, it's a 26.6 requirement right, that our developers have to hit with those planned developments and a 50% city requirement for hiring. Oftentimes those developers are going out to the assist agencies to present on large-scale projects, to share that there's an opportunity for contracting. They have to hit that goal, and so they want to make sure that they're doing outreach and being proactive to tap some of the Black and brown developers, some of the minority developers, to ensure that their workforce really reflects the community that they're developing in. And so I would also argue it's an opportunity to engage with some of those assist agencies that are making sure that our workforce and our contracting force is in fact diverse as it should be.
If I could take this opportunity to join in on that answer, we're all here today through the Department of Procurement Services. Personally, I'm the Public Affairs Director. The Public Affairs Unit at DPS administers a capacity building program for small, minority-owned, and women-owned businesses. So if you're new to the industry, if you're new to the city, if you're new to bidding on city contracts, but you haven't done it before, if you're a subcontractor who's looking for upcoming opportunities, or if you're looking to network with prime contractors, please come see me, because we host virtual workshops, we host panel discussions, we work with assist agencies, we work with other departments. We really are at DPS, the unit that I oversee, responsible for facilitating all of those resources and capacity building programs, like I think you're speaking about, because to the commissioner's point, every contract that the city administers has goals. You know, in an ideal world, we're far exceeding those goals in every instance possible, but we also know that there are challenges and barriers that many small minority-owned women businesses face. So to that end, either through visiting the exhibit hall later today, or you can come see me and I can connect you with some of those programs and resources that we offer, for the most part, on demand on our website at any time. So I just wanted to make sure that you know we have additional programs for you or any other vendors in the room that are looking for that capacity building assistance. Please come talk to us. I think we have time for just a couple more questions. I saw a couple hands here.
Hi, my name is Van. Thank you both for your intervention. So I just have a quick question, because you were mentioning something regarding grants. Just want to know the financial assistance or incentive that the Chicago Department of Housing offered to developers and also homeowners interested in affordable housing initiative. Thank you.
In terms of incentives, right, like the big thing that we do is hope to stabilize folks, and that can be through actually just helping them become homeowners. I think for bigger contractors, bigger developers, you know, there are things like tax breaks that are set by the state that can be helpful in maintaining affordability. I think big picture, right, we also, things like home repairs are up to 2-unit buildings. So that can also be a homeowner who has a renter on one of the other floors, and that can also help provide some stability, because we understand that there's a lot of things that we can't control. You know, the city of Chicago can't control property taxes, for example, and that is a driver for raising raising rents, raising other costs of living in a place. So what we can do, though, is through our home repair program, we can say, we're going to help you figure out this roof and porch over here, so you don't have to worry about that. And instead, you know, that money that you can save on that, you can put towards, you know, maybe keeping the rent lower, maybe just paying off your property taxes, so you don't have to do things like that. So I think we like to think of it as offsetting and just getting creative around how we're able to support homeowners stay where they are, and really then helping to stabilize through rents and things like that.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Blakely. I'm a business owner in downtown Chicago, and I'm looking to expand more businesses in downtown Chicago. And recently, I had to pull out of a SPIF application because the landlord required that we use union-owned contractors in order to build out the space. And I was used to that language, and I asked them that in the beginning, and they said we didn't have to, and they switched those terms at the last minute. How are unions in partnership with DPD, and what table do I go to find out how to get my people union certified? But I see that being a roadblock as I'm looking to expand as a business owner in downtown Chicago, and I want to know, how do I decrease that barrier? I want to start my own construction company. with union certified contractors so that I can bring in more biopic contractors to the downtown space as I'm looking to help business owners who are our clients expand downtown?
I think that's a great question. I want to remind everyone that, so DPD does not contract directly. We provide grants to businesses and grants to developers who then contract out directly. And so, unfortunately, we don't control the contracting. We manage the compliance to ensure that the developers are responding and, in compliance with the city's 26.6 and 50% city residency. I think what we heard from DPS is there are some opportunities for capacity building and making sure that the unions are here, and they're amazing partners in many cases. And I think there's opportunities for contractors to build capacity through meaningful collaborations. And so I think DPS gave a great example of how they are providing different resources to help our contractors, right? Our small contractors grow into larger contractors by building capacity and having technical assistance opportunities and ensuring that smaller contractors are able to work on larger projects. But unfortunately, it's not something that DPD manages directly, simply because we don't actually contract out directly with contractors, if that makes sense. Again, we provide funding so that those developers can go out and bring in more contractors to actually develop the businesses, but we don't contract directly with contractors.
Got time for just one more question before we get ready for the next session. If we weren't able to get to your question, please again visit the exhibitor hall. Both these departments will have a presence throughout the day.
Hi, it's not a question, but just a comment regarding contractor capacity building. We are in DOH, we'll have an RFP out soon in order to create a business accelerator program where we will be engaging a third-party company or organization to help assist companies on a one-to-one basis. So if you are looking for skilled labor and want to do more business with the unions, that's something possibly you can get help with. And also, we just want to make sure that we have companies in a pipeline in order to do business with these initiatives that DOH has. So I just want to give a shout out to our business accelerator that's coming down the road. Thanks, Lisa.
Commissioner Ciere Boatright, Commissioner Lissette Castaneda, thank you so much for joining us today.